Did you know that 85% of men fail to recognize when they're being cheated on? Shocking, right? Women have mastered the art of subtlety, making it nearly impossible to detect betrayal until it's too late. But today, I'll reveal 6 phrases that could expose the truth hiding in plain sight. Pay close attention, because this might change the way you see your relationship forever. Have you ever suspected your partner? Type 1 if you think you've noticed signs. Or 0 if you trust her completely. Don't forget to subscribe for more eye-opening insights that could save your love life. He understands me so well, a subtle warning sign you shouldn't ignore. Imagine this: your partner keeps mentioning a certain man, perhaps a coworker, a gym buddy, or even an old friend. She talks about how he understands her so well, how he listens, how he just gets her in a way no one else does. At first, it might seem innocent, just casual conversation. But beneath the surface, this seemingly harmless statement could be a red flag signaling an emotional connection forming outside your relationship. Women don't always cheat physically first. More often than not, it starts emotionally. When she constantly praises another man's understanding, she might be subtly shifting her emotional reliance away from you and onto him. This is dangerous territory. Emotional intimacy is the foundation of attraction. And once that bond strengthens, physical infidelity is just a step away. Think about it: when was the last time she praised you like that? If she's openly admiring another man's ability to connect with her, it may mean she feels a lack of that connection with you. Over time, this comparison can create emotional distance, making it easier for her to justify stepping outside the relationship. So, what should you do? Pay attention. Notice if she brings up his name often, defends him when you express concern, or suddenly seems more distant with you. The key here isn't paranoia, it's awareness. If you notice these signs, don't ignore them. Instead, rekindle your emotional connection. Communicate openly, and remind her why she fell for you in the first place. Have you ever heard this phrase from your partner? Type 1 if you have. Or 0 if you haven't. Stay tuned, this is just the beginning. Don't worry. I'm just going out with some friends. Is she hiding something? At first glance, this phrase seems completely innocent. Your partner tells you she's just going out with some friends. Maybe for a girls' night, a work gathering, or a casual hangout. You nod, trust her, and think nothing of it. After all, why would you? But what if this statement isn't as harmless as it seems? Women who cheat often create a veil of normalcy around their actions. They know that a simple, routine excuse like, "I'm just going out with friends," won't raise suspicion, because it sounds reasonable. However, if you start noticing inconsistencies, last-minute plan changes, or a sudden increase in these outings, it might be time to pay closer attention. Think about it: has she suddenly started dressing differently? Putting in extra effort before heading out? Is she oddly vague about who she's meeting? Does she dodge specific details when you ask where she's going? These small shifts in behavior could be signs that her nights out aren't as innocent as she claims. Now, this doesn't mean you should immediately assume the worst. But if this phrase is repeated often, and her stories don't quite add up, it's worth observing her behavior more carefully. One of the biggest mistakes men make is dismissing these small warning signs until it's too late. So, what do you think? Have you ever felt uneasy after hearing this excuse? Type 1 if yes. Or 0 if you've never had doubts. Stay tuned, because the next sign might shock you even more. I need more space for myself, a hidden warning sign. When your partner says, I need more space for myself, it might sound like a reasonable request. After all, personal growth and independence are important in any relationship. But what if this phrase is just a cover for something deeper, something she doesn't want you to see? Women who are emotionally or physically pulling away often use this line as a way to create distance without confrontation. At first, it may seem innocent. She wants to focus on herself. Maybe pick up a new hobby or spend time alone. But if this request for space suddenly becomes frequent and unexplained, it could be a sign that she's making room for someone else. Pay attention to what changes when she asks for space. Does she suddenly become less affectionate? Does she avoid deep conversations? Do you notice she's spending more time on her phone, texting someone she won't talk about? If her me time consistently takes her away from you, yet she refuses to let you in on what's really going on, it's time to start asking the right questions. A woman who genuinely needs space for self-improvement will still make an effort to reconnect with you. But if she's using space as a way to slowly detach, emotionally or physically, you need to be aware of what's happening before it's too late. Have you ever heard this phrase in your relationship? Type 1 if you have. Or 0 if you haven't. And stay tuned, because the next sign is one of the most common yet overlooked warning signals. I'm working late tonight, a classic excuse or a hidden truth. At first, hearing your partner say, I'm working late tonight might not seem unusual. After all, a demanding job, urgent deadlines, or unexpected meetings can all lead to longer hours at work. But what if this phrase is being used as a convenient excuse, one designed to keep you from asking too many questions? When a woman begins to frequently use work as a reason for being absent, it could be a sign of something deeper. Pay attention. Has she recently started staying late more often than usual? Does she seem secretive about her schedule? Does she avoid answering phone calls or responding to texts during these late hours? These small details could be subtle but important red flags. Of course, not every woman who works late is being unfaithful. But if her work hours suddenly become unpredictable, and her explanations feel vague or inconsistent, you might need to look closer. If she gets defensive when you ask simple questions like, what time will you be home, or what project are you working on, it could indicate that she's hiding something. Another key indicator: changes in her routine. If she used to tell you about her day but now avoids details. If she suddenly starts dressing differently for work. Or if she seems emotionally distant after these late nights. It's worth paying attention. So, what do you think? Have you ever questioned whether working late was really about work? Type 1 if you've noticed suspicious behavior. Or 0 if you trust her completely. Stay tuned, because the next excuse might be even more revealing. I think we need some time apart, a break or a breakup in disguise. When your partner says, I think we need some time apart, it might sound like she just wants to reflect on the relationship. Maybe she's feeling overwhelmed, stressed, or just needs a little breathing room. But here's the harsh truth: this phrase is often a strategic move to create space for someone else. In many cases, when a woman asks for time apart, she's not actually looking for clarity, she's testing the waters of a new connection. By creating distance, she can explore her options without the guilt of outright cheating. If she truly wanted to fix things, she would communicate, not withdraw. Think about it: was this request sudden? Did it come out of nowhere? Without any major fights or serious issues? If she hasn't shown signs of wanting to work through problems but suddenly asks for space, it could mean she's emotionally checked out. She might already have someone else in mind and is using this time apart as a way to transition into something new. Pay close attention to her behavior during this break. Is she distant, yet oddly happy? Does she avoid giving you clear answers about whether she still wants to work on the relationship? If she disappears without much communication, it's a clear sign she's already moving on. So, what's your experience? Have you ever been blindsided by a request for time apart that turned into a permanent breakup? Type 1 if you have. Or 0 if you've never dealt with this. And don't go anywhere, the next phrase might be the most revealing one yet. You deserve someone better than me, a guilt-filled goodbye. When a woman tells you, "You deserve someone better than me," it might sound like an expression of self-doubt or even humility. But in many cases, this phrase is more than just an emotional confession, it's a warning sign that she's already emotionally or physically detached from the relationship. Women who cheat or are considering leaving often use this phrase as a way to ease their guilt while shifting the emotional burden onto you. Instead of admitting that she has lost interest, developed feelings for someone else, or made mistakes, she frames the breakup as something that's for your own good. This way, she avoids being the villain in the story while subtly pushing you to accept the inevitable. Think about it, if she truly believed you deserved better, wouldn't she make an effort to improve the relationship instead of walking away? A woman who still cares will work through problems, not create emotional distance under the guise of not being good enough for you. If you hear this phrase, ask yourself, is she really being honest? Or is she trying to justify an exit? Another red flag. This phrase often comes before sudden changes in behavior. She may start being more secretive, less affectionate, or emotionally unavailable. If she's already feeling guilty about something, this could be her way of softening the blow before revealing the full truth, or quietly slipping away. So, have you ever heard this phrase before? Type 1 if you have. Or 0 if you haven't. Stay tuned, because understanding these signs could save you from heartbreak before it's too late. Are you seeing the signs? Now that you know the 6 most common phrases women use when they're emotionally or physically detaching, the question is, have you heard them before? Ignoring these red flags could mean living in denial. But recognizing them gives you power, the power to take action, to protect your heart, and to regain control of your relationship. So, what's your experience? Type 1 if you've encountered any of these signs. Or 0 if you're in a solid, trusting relationship. And if you want more insights that could change the way you see love and attraction, hit subscribe and stay ahead of the game.